Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were ever bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find
Hello and welcome to today's episode of X-Rad Live, the talk show that really does get you talking on the Xander Network, live from an undisclosed location. Okay, I will level with you. I am in Candace Owens' Ted Lieu Evisceration Factory. Oh yes, sirree. And it is jolly fabulous. On today's show, I get on my soapbox and give you the chance to get on your soapbox too in our phone in. The doctor is in tonight, which is great because I always love talking to this guest and all of my guests, of course. Dr. Kendra Becker drops by, and S Schmitz from Conservative for Palin joins me to break down this week's hottest topics. Now, you can have your say on the live feed, and as usual, I'll be sharing your comments as we go along, so keep them clean-ish. You can also call in when we get to that section, 845-363-4747, which should be along the top of your screen. That's 845-363-4747, or via Facebook Live Messenger if you are in the UK. I will, of course, be joining Joe Messina on the real side, just for a change, 6 Pacific time. You can follow me on social media everywhere but Twitter, because I am banned for being a loyal supporter of Donald Trump. Oh, yes, sirree. Yes, indeed. So come and say hello to everybody. Once I've just, the one thing I forgot to do was to switch on the Skype. So when people call, it will hopefully come through to here. But then I'm going to come to the live feed and say hello to everybody that is in there by name. Hello to Paul. Hello to James. Good evening to Chad, aka Chet. I hope you're doing good, my brother. Hello to Martha. Hello to who else? Mary Elizabeth, and to Christopher. Hello to Amy. Welcome. Hello to Dave. Hello to all of our regulars. Hello to who else is there? Hello to Mikey. Welcome to the show. Hello. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Hello to my Gina. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Sharon. Hello. Great to see you all. I think that's absolutely everybody. What did I want to tell you? You always want a little bit of a Brexit update, although kind of, there never really is a real Brexit update because it stays the same. Because Theresa May has asked for yet another extension to Article 50, the document to dissolute the UK's membership of the EU. Now, ironically, the next date she's set to procrastinate till is, are you ready for this? October 31st, which is most apt given the fact it is Halloween and this has been nothing but a darn freak show since day one. We wait with bated breath to see what will zhush her up this time with another version of her unacceptable Brexit deal offering. Who knows, maybe she will do us a favor and just resign and give us a British Conservative Party we can actually be proud of. I would really pay to see that. Democrat Dumbo of the Week. I'm sure you can guess who it is this week. Ilhan. I married my brother Omar, who referred to 9/11 as something. Some people did some things. Some people did something on that day, a way to piss on American graves. No, in Ilhan, a group of Islamic extremists flew planes into buildings and killed 3,000 of my brothers and sisters and injured 6,000 plus more. Don't you dare diminish this wanton act of terrorism. You insult us further. Resign now. I'm really, as you can tell, I'm furious about this, and I will be discussing this further with Thomas S. Schmitz in part 2, how quickly Democrats have forgotten those who attacked us 15 years ago and now are filling the ranks of our hallowed halls with them. My conservative commentator of the week, as I alluded to in my preamble, happens to be Candace Owens, who needs to be renamed Candace Owens, as she really owned Ted Lieu this week, handing him his liberal ass on a plate. He, in typical liberal fashion, took her commentary out of context. So unlike Democrats, she took him in hand and pointed out her stupidity. Oh, yes, she did. So what do you think about these things? What has really concerned you this week? Let's go backwards a little. Mikey's talking about 5G. I think he might be referring to phones. Dave said, did you see the President Trump's troll level went to 100% today? I think he kind of does every day. Hello to Ali. Welcome to the show. Martha said she's a nasty pig. We'll have to be very careful about referring to Muslims as nasty pigs, as we'll get into much trouble. The movie Peppa Pig is in town where I live. I won't be telling you where I live because I don't want any of you visiting. Well, some of you can come and have a cup of tea. And there was much chagrin about that from the local Muslim community because apparently Peppa Pig is anti-Islamic. So children's cartoons are now anti-Islamic. What else? Yes, I love Candace too, Sharon. Dave says he was going to send all of the border crossers to the sanctuary cities. Yeah, I think that is a great thing to do. And Chet, you know you're always welcome. I will kind of open the doors for when you're coming over. We will have a great time. Lots of great pubs, British pubs. So we're going to open the phone lines now. 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. We've got probably time for a couple of calls. Tell us what you think about what's been going on in the United States this week or the UK with regards to Brexit or anything you want to get off your chest. 845-363-4747. Now, if you are in the live feed, please press your buttons now. Click that share button. Whoa, share. Click that share button so people know you are watching. We have a call and I can guess who it is. Before I answer the call, hello to my brother. Hello, you're live on X-Rad Live. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Xander, it's creepy Joe Biden again. And I wanted to tell you, I'm a little offended that the media has forgotten about me. They're no longer talking to me about me. And clearly I have no capabilities of becoming president of the United States. But mainly what I wanted to call you about was I took a sniff of Ilhan Omar, and she smelled of incest and curry.
Really?
And it about knocked me on my ass. And, you know, I need to make this perfectly clear for the listeners that when I was a young man and I courted Dr. Jill, my wife, the way that I courted Dr. Jill was to sniff. And I remember sniffing, and I got the whiff of mane and tail. And that is a certain type of shampoo, but I think you know what kind of mane and tail I was sniffing around for. But this is a family show. I'm not going to go there.
Well, I'm sure it's not the first time you've had a good sniff there. Maybe you've had a sniff at shift too. Sorry, I was doing 50 things there. But what I do want to ask you is, don't you think you've messed up your chances now for ever being the president of the United States? I mean, not that we wanted you anyway, Creepy Joe, but don't you think you've done your party and America a disservice by the fact that your hands are everywhere?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: if I run against Trump, I'll take him behind the woodshed. Hopefully, my plugs don't get wet, but I will take him behind that woodshed and grab his midriff if it takes me prove to be I need to do so.
Well, as long as you don't put your hands on his cat, because I know that he has issues with regards to that. But could you put my brother Chet on so I can have a chat with him about...
I'm here. It wasn't, my Joe Biden is not that good. I have to work on my Joe Biden. It's not as good as my Bernie. It's not as good as my Trump. There's a different cadence with Joe Biden when he's mad or when he's, like, whispering. And that's kind of like what I try to do is when he's whispering in the woman's ear and sniffing on her head. But this Ilhan Omar, what an absolute piece of walking vomit she is.
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake, Xander, she gets it first of all, she gets it wrong from the get. She says, and I think this is part of Takia where they lie to you, and they're allowed to do so because of their religion of peace. And she says CARE was established after 2001, after 9/11. That is not true. CARE was established in 1994. I know who it was established by. I know why it was established, and it was established to bring Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood into these here United States of America and abroad over there across the pond with you two. You got CARE.
Yeah.
And for her to be so cavalier when she says it, you know what I mean? It's bad enough what she says, but it's how she says it.
Right. But let me stop you for a second.
Dismissive, cavalier, cold, and disgusting. And for the Democrats to actually get in front of us, Xander, and say, well, you're being Islamophobic when you question her like Rash Tlaib said.
Kiss my ass. Kiss my ass. That's my response to that. But let me ask you this, because maybe you know this. I tried to find this today, but I had 50 million things going on. I was under the impression that at some point, CARE was classified as a terror group. When was it declassified as a terror group? Because I find that rather concerning.
Well, I know the Muslim Brotherhood was classified as a terrorist organization. I don't know for a fact that CARE ever was. If you're telling me that, that's news to me. And, I keep close watch of CARE. I actually used to have discussions and back and forth with one of the heads of CARE in Florida, Hassan Shibli.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
Yeah, he was on your show, and he seems like a nice guy, but he'd stick a knife in you as soon as you turned around, believe me. I don't know if they've been classified as a terrorist group.
I kind of think the worry for me is because what I wanted to do and my aim in having Hassan Shibli on the show was, I had so many accusations that I was anti-Islamic and all of these things. So we had him on the show, and we had quite a good conversation. But he wouldn't denounce Linda Sarsour, and he wouldn't denounce the need. He wouldn't say that Sharia law was incompatible with living in the United States, because as far as he's concerned, he was saying that Sharia law is something totally different than we've imagined it to be. But when your holy book tells you to kill, I can't remember if it's 80 or 100 times in the Quran, it says to kill people that disagree with you. What does that say about where your God, in parentheses, is coming from?
Well, it's frightening because you have these liberals embracing Islam. Meanwhile, someone like Ilhan Omar, when she's asked to denounce the government of Brunei for stoning homosexuals to death, she says, I won't do it. But then, Xander, it's interesting. Like, if you talk to a gay liberal, and they'll say, well, that's how she is, and that's her culture. When the hell did that ever become okay? For God's sakes.
Let me turn that around for a second. So that would be like me saying, I cannot condemn the people that killed the Muslims in Christchurch because I'm a gay man and Muslims kill homosexuals and throw them off buildings. I'm not saying that before you write in, but is that not exactly the same as that? What is the difference?
You're damn right it's the same thing, and it's the same thing if I came to you and I said, Xander, look at this cool swastika tattoo I got. And if one of your friends came and said, Xander, what the hell's wrong with Chet? And you said, well, that's just the way Chet is. It's how he grew up.
Right.
What do you want? What do you want from him? He doesn't know any better. That's the thing. And then when you question them, they turn it around. So you're questioning their hate message and their ideology, which is an ideology of hate, and they turn it around on you and a hater.
But aren't we charged to do
Doesn't make any
that?
sense.
Not just as Christians, but as Americans, aren't we charged to challenge these things that we disagree with? But I had a conversation with one of my friends today. The difficulty is the line. I want to challenge these things, but I don't want to encourage people to hurt anybody in the process. And that's the difference between us and them, isn't it? That we want to highlight these things, but we don't want to encourage anybody to be killed in the process.
Well, it is a big difference, but the harsh reality of the situation is it is a powder keg. And it is going to come to everybody's doorstep eventually. I don't know when that day will be.
Right.
I'm armed to the teeth. I'm in a militia called the Oath Keepers. I have plenty of back. These people want you to fear them. I do not fear her.
No.
I do not fear her. Trust me, Xander. If Ilhan Omar or any of the members of CARE came to my house, well, they'd hear a little pump action when they walk through the door.
For sure. I do have to stop you there because I would need to get ready for our first guest. But very quickly, tell people who's on your show on Sunday. And what's that song? What's that song? Don't fear the brother sleeper. What is it? Don't fear the brother sleeper. So who's on your show this weekend? Very quickly.
Oh, yeah, this weekend's going to be pretty good. We got Renee Jolie coming on, and she's a freelance writer, and her son was falsely accused of a sex crime. He was vindicated, but his future is in peril because of the whole thing. We've got Eric Caron coming on. He's a U.S. diplomat and U.S. special agent who's an expert on the border, so that's going to be a pretty good interview. And then we have Ernst Roetz. He's another freelance writer, but he's from South Africa, and he wrote this book called Kill the Boer, and it's about what the hell is going on in South Africa. Nobody's talking about this. We've got a genocide going on with these white farmers, and the media is too busy going, Mueller, witch
exactly.
All this stuff.
Gotta stop you there, though.
They don't talk about anything with substance.
Gotta stop you there, though, brother. 3 to 5 on Sunday Eastern Time. Make sure you join Chet and the guys at Freedom on Deck. Thanks so much for calling, Chet, and I will speak to you very soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care.
God bless.
That was fabulous Chet Martin from Freedom on Deck. Make sure you check them out Sundays 3 till 5 Eastern Time. I can't work it out off the top of my head what that is in every other time zone. But I want to do the intro now for my next guest who's been on the show before, and she's fabulous. Her name is Dr. Kendra Becker, and she's an integrated physician who is committed to helping families heal at home. She teaches healing from the inside. So you begin a journey of health and resilience, starting with your dinner plate. Sounds very interesting to me. Food can be your medicine or your poison, and your genes do not define you, but they help to guide the way of your healing. In practice for over 10 years, Dr. Becker holds an ND degree, an MS, and an APRN. Keeping Healing in the Home is her book. Dr. Becker is the author also of A Delicious Way to Heal the Gut and All You Can Eat. Dr. Becker was chosen as one of Connecticut's top, can't talk tonight, naturopathic doctors, and she will be calling back to the show. Dr. Kendra Becker, how is the world with you, and how is Connecticut?
Oh, Connecticut is exactly the same, full of potholes and taxes.
And illegals.
That's great.
And illegals, too.
And illegals, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Connecticut is my second home. I used to live in New Fairfield, and so I'm kind of like, I'm an honorary Connecticut, if that's the right word.
Yeah. Hey, well, like when we travel, it's so funny. People ask where we're from, and we say we're from Connecticut. People always say, "Oh, Connecticut, that's a great place to be from," formerly of. We're like, yeah, someday.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to jump right in because there's a lot of controversy right now. I'm sure it's in the United States as well. A lot of people are saying that with reference to organic produce, that basically it's all a con, et cetera. But what do you say about that? I've been eating organic as much as I possibly can for a good 8 years now, and I feel better for doing that.
Well, you're absolutely absolutely right. And here's what we know about organic produce and organic farming. You know, according to the USDA Organic Foods Act, I believe of 1990, there were very specific criteria that was set up in order for a farm to be called and considered organic.
Right.
So there is certainly much more sustainable growing practices. There is much more loss in their produce, and there is a higher cost that comes with that. So we know by research that there is a higher nutrient value in those organic foods. However, what is happening now, because we are polluting the earth like crazy, is that the conventional farming, you know, the use of glyphosate, which is, a chemical found in the herbicide Roundup, and the way that they do conventional farming, both with farm animals and with produce, is some of those chemicals that would not be allowed in organic farming are now showing up in organic produce because of the overspray or the shared water supplies and things like that.
Right.
So, and case in point, in California, all the organic wine, 100% of the organic wine has tested positive for glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup. And that's, again, just because of the overspray of the conventional farmers, because we still all share an atmosphere, and the organic farmers, in many cases, are next door to the conventional growers. They share a water supply. They certainly share air. And so there's some blow-by, and it's coming up in the water and then found in the fruit or the produce.
Right.
So my opinion is absolutely organic as much as possible, because not only is it better for our bodies, but it absolutely is better for the earth. And we do pay a higher price tag for it. However, being a Republican, it also is better for the economy because there's also a higher profit margin because of the risk of loss that an organic farmer has to sustain.
Right.
So that's the way I look at it. Environmental, health benefits, and then also it's beneficial for the economy.
Absolutely, and in my research, because one of the things that I plan to do is to grow my own vegetables, my own organic produce, is that you think that just using organic seeds, but is okay, but you got to go back and see what point it became what its organic nature, but also the soil apparently has to be organic too. And then when we buy these things in stores, I'm told that the way to know that the produce is organic is the number 9 at the beginning of the barcode. Does that necessarily follow through, do you find?
Well, it's all we really have to go on, so I hope to God it's true, because that's exactly how I buy all of my produce. And you are absolutely right about the seed lines. You have to go back several generations to see if there are any, generations that there has been GMO or gene splicing into those seed lines. So, it's quite a bit of work. The soil absolutely is the same scenario. And as you know, regulations here in, Connecticut and many of the other U.S. states are so rigorous. So there are farmers here, by me, that have been doing organic farming for 10, 15, 20 years on land that's never been adulterated by chemicals, and they're still not a certified organic farm because it's a $1,000 and several year process. So for them, it's just easier to maintain the technique rather than to actually have the stamp. So, that's the other thing, too, is you're absolutely right. Growing your own produce is the best way to get it, for sure.
Absolutely. So I want to switch a little bit. I want to talk about gluten, because it's like a Prada handbag now for people to say, well, I'm gluten intolerant. But I have an ideology, and I hope you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that it's not healthy to eat gluten because most people's bodies can't process gluten very well. So whether you're gluten intolerant or not, it's better to have a gluten-free diet.
Yep, I'm on this page with you for sure. So there's a couple things. What we've done, again, with commercial farming in America is we have taken wheat, regular sheaves of wheat that used to grow 6 to 8 feet tall, and now they grow 18 inches off the ground, and the yield is 10 times what it was 150 years ago. So as farming, there are aren't even really any GMOs. They don't even use genetically modified wheat. The government tried to push that through, and there was a huge pushback. So there really isn't GMO wheat in our food supply, but we have done enough hybridization and enough changing of the wheat molecule that it is almost undecipherable by the body when we consume it.
Right.
And then the other problem is what we're doing is we're taking away all of the fibrous components in processing and really leaving us with nothing but a concentrated protein. The protein is where all of the chemicals are stored, so you're getting a protein concentrate of chemicals, and you're getting a molecule that the body can't even recognize or understand how to digest.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. The wheat that we have now in our food supply is anatomically different to what we would have found 150 years ago. When humans, even if they have the perfect, most balanced, happy gut, if they consume gluten, they have leaky gut for up to 3 hours after consumption.
Right.
So if you've taken antibiotics, if you've taken a medication that alters your the mucosa in your gut lining, if you've had a cold or a virus or anything that can change the morphology of what's going on in there, you are certainly going to have an additional challenge with gluten.
Absolutely.
And so, and like you said too, everybody has some level of sensitivity. Just because you have a gluten sensitivity and you eat gluten and you're not rushing to the bathroom doesn't mean you don't have a problem with it. My patients have reported headaches, skin problems, depression, anxiety. I mean, the list goes on and on and on with somebody who has a gluten sensitivity, for sure.
Right. So you talked about leaky gut. Is that the same as IBS? Now, I have IBS, and so I have to be very careful what I eat, but having changed my diet methodically and making small changes, it's kind of a lot better. Is leaky gut and IBS the same thing, or are they different?
So they're really different. Leaky gut is really kind of a generalized term as to what is actually going on in the cell structure. And IBS is basically a generalized term stating what is going on in the organ structure. So do people with IBS have leaky gut? Probably. Do people with leaky gut have IBS? Maybe. So they're different because we're talking about different anatomy, but there is a huge kind of crossover. And so basically what we're seeing with leaky gut is you have cells in your gut, right? And they are elastic and then supple and they move around and they slough off, every day, in fact, which is why we poop. And so when there is some sort of an insult to that tissue, there is damage to those cells. So when there is damage to those cells, the cells aren't, they're supposed to be stuck together kind of like puzzle pieces. And so when there's damage in leaky gut, you're kind of missing puzzle pieces. So you have what's called gaps or just spaces between those cells. When there are those gaps, that's where proteins and allergens and all kinds of things can basically get stuck. So if you have, think if you had a pebble, it's stuck, right? And it rubbed against your toe for several hours, you basically end up with a blister. So the same kind of phenomena is happening in your gut. And when that blister shows up, you actually create inflammation. And that inflammation sets off a cell signal response to your entire immune system that something is out of balance in your gut, and it mounts a reaction.
Right.
So again, the thing with leaky gut that we see with gluten sensitivity is it can be something that affects you in the digestive tract, but it also can be something that affects you much more systemically or appears to not be related to the gut at all.
Right. So tell me how I've got the wrong teeth in tonight. How probiotics can actually help this process?
Oh, sure. So I'm a huge advocate of probiotics. I think they work absolutely amazingly. So the way that they heal the gut is they actually help the body kind of rebalance the good and bad bacteria. So when you take a high-quality probiotic that helps refeed the gut, so there's differences between prebiotics and probiotics, right? So if you take a prebiotic, that's basically the food for the probiotic. So it's saying, here, you eat caviar and then you run a triathlon. It's giving you the right nutrients so that you can sustain long-term activity. A probiotic basically just changes the landscape. So it's kind of like adding additional flowers to the garden. So by reseeding the gut, you're actually helping shift the balance away from bad bacteria that could be harmful or inflammatory to good bacteria that can help protect digestion, protect your immune system, and help balance and heal and seal what could be out of balance in your gut.
Right.
And so I probiotics for a lot of different things, not only gut healing, because it certainly helps with support to your immune system and a whole host of other things.
Absolutely, because I think, just from my personal experience, that it's little changes that build up in order to make a vast difference to your body. So, I've added things to my diet over the years, like vitamin C every day, echinacea, all of those kinds of things, which have built up my immune system. Because when you have certain conditions like, I have physical disabilities and diabetes and all these things, it actually affects your level of immunity. I'm telling you, you're a doctor, but this is kind of like, from my perspective.
Well, you're absolutely right. And as you know, all healing and all sickness begins in the gut. So certainly using a high-quality probiotic or, selecting foods in your diet that are useful and beneficial to suppress inflammation, because as naturopaths, we really believe that all disease comes from inflammation. And you
Right.
really could look at this as being an inflammatory process in the body that pushes the body out of balance. And so using something like a probiotic is absolutely beneficial in how the body can organize and manufacture immune system, right?
Yes.
Because a good amount of it is actually manufactured in the gut anyway. And what's not manufactured there is actually signaled there so that the body and the bone marrow gets the right cell signaling to be able to manufacture the right cells. So I do think the whole system is absolutely fascinating.
I do too. Now, one of the other things that I've added, most days I eat oatmeal with blueberries or something like that. And the reason I started to do that, because I read that oatmeal has an amazing effect on reducing cholesterol. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of oatmeal. And
Really?
I'll tell you why. It's got high glycemic index, so it's tough for diabetics to consume. The other problem is we have a problem, like we started to talk about at the beginning of the segment, with glyphosate. So oats in general, the ones that are not organic, are very, very high in glyphosate. They're very positive for heavy amounts of pesticides. Oats in general tend to be kind of absorbable, so they hold on to any petroleum-based pesticides that are being sprayed on them. And then even the same thing, we're having a little bit of bleed through, even through the organic produce. So that's one issue that I have with oats. However, using them to add additional fiber to the body, any fiber, not just oatmeal, can absolutely help balance cholesterol. And as you know, as a man in particular, we're not really looking to actively lower cholesterol to this point of being so low.
No.
Because men in general need at least a cholesterol of 180 in order to manufacture testosterone properly. And men need testosterone for far more, than their virility. They need it for their thought process and their muscle mass and being able to stay up past 5 o'clock in the evening. So, I'm really careful about making sure that people are really looking at cholesterol.
Are you still there? Is that you, Kendra?
That's me. I lost you.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
No worries. So I was on a roll talking about cholesterol being kind of like mortar, where if the number of cholesterol is very high, we know that there's some level of inflammation in the body. So it's more important for me to figure out where that inflammation is than to look and see what the issue is with the cholesterol and just, give somebody a medication for, cholesterol or looking at what is causing the issue.
Right. So how would you go about doing that? How would you go about finding, because I know that all diagnosis is a process of elimination. Someone's very kind of keen to make a point, I think. So how would you go about finding out what the issue is?
So for me, in my office, I do a very comprehensive analysis with appointments are usually about an hour. So I ask lots of questions of them. I ask, questions about their sleep, about their exercise habits, about have effects, physiologic effects on the body, that reflect in lab work. Then the next thing I would ask is I do a very comprehensive analysis of diet and think in general, the common, thought process is, well, if I eat food that's high in cholesterol, like eggs, for example, that I'm going to have high cholesterol. But that's cholesterol in humans are things like sugar, right? It creates an inflammatory process, and the body's trying to counter that. Or a lot of simple cholesterol levels.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is that you have to look at, exactly what the breakdown is of those numbers. Good cholesterol number, then we want to leave that alone. Like, we don't want to touch that.
For sure.
We want that to be exactly the way that it is.
Absolutely.
So, individual. Sometimes nutrient deficiencies can cause an imbalance in cholesterol.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, I could talk about this all night because it really interests me, but we are out of time. But tell people, I don't know what's going on with Skype. Tell people where they can find you, and more importantly, where they can buy your books.
Sure. So you can find me on the web. I'm drkendrabecker.com. If you're looking to schedule a clinical appointment, you can certainly call my office, which is Family Wellness Center of Connecticut. My book is available through my office and also on Amazon.com, and it's called All You Can Eat.
Absolutely.
All the delicious.
That out, as I'm sure you topic. Thank you for joining us today. You will join us again very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Xander. Keep doing what you do.
Absolutely. Dr. Kendra Becker, make sure you go check her out. Our next guest, I think, is trying to call in a little early. You know him as Thomas S. Schmitz. .com. That should be him on the line right now. Is this the Truth Fairy? Hello? I hope he will call back any second. Is this the Truth Fairy?
Hello?
Hello, is this the Truth Fairy? Hello.
This is the Truth Fairy.
Hello, welcome
How'd
back
you know?
to the show. Oh, I knew it was you. I saw the Truth Fairy symbol in the sky come on as you were calling.
Oh my goodness, yes. That Truth Fairy with the symbol in the sky and a foreshadowing of things to come. What's
Yes,
up?
absolutely. All's good. How's sunny California? Please tell me it's warm there today, because we ain't had much warm here in the UK.
I don't know what the temperature is, but I'm looking outside right now, and I would say is 3 shades lighter than indigo as the sun is.
Hello. I'm sorry, we lost Thomas. Hoping he will call back. Skype is giving us lots of problems just for a change. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can get Thomas on. Do we have you back there, Thomas?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. Skype is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I will grant clemency. Normally, hanging up on the Truth Fairy requires that you go outside, turn in a circle 3 times, spit over your left shoulder, and cuss.
Absolutely. Well, I assure you it wasn't me. But let's jump right into a hot topic before the liberals at Skype mess with us again. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is facing extradition to the U.S. And up to 5 years in jail after he was forcibly dragged from the Ecuadorian embassy in London yesterday, bringing an extraordinary 7-year diplomatic stalemate to an end. As Assange is Australian, he will get help from his consul, but Aussie Prime Minister Scott Morrison said the country's Foreign Affairs Minister Maurice Payne said officials had been advised that Britain would not agree to extradition if an individual. Whoever is calling, keeps calling, please stop calling, because after the show I'm going to find out who you are and I'm going to report you to the authorities. Now stop. We're trying to do a show here. So she said after 2,487 days in the embassy, the 47-year-old was arrested after Ecuador revoked his political asylum and invited the cops to come get him. Now, he's been in the embassy since 20. In addition to Sweden, over trumped-up sexual assault allegations, thanks Hillary. Given the level of assistance he gave to the Trump campaign, is this more about levying extradition to assist a possible prosecution against Hillary Clinton, basically tried to do the dirty on Donald Trump?
Well, the first thing about Julian Assange is that he needs to shave, because I don't like that beard.
No, I don't either.
Yeah. What's the difference between Julian Assange and the New York Times? I mean,
right.
The 70s weren't that long ago, and I do believe that they were the ones, and they knew at the time that that included classified documents that were stolen by that military analyst, and from the federal government. Times publishing the Pentagon Papers and anything that Julian Assange did. Not very much.
Not at all.
So is it political? Of course it is. And there's probably some shadowy people behind the scenes that probably have some kind of input on this too. I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see the direction. And I trust the president. He's a wise man. He thinks outside of the box. He has the best interests of the country at heart, and I will follow his lead.
Absolutely. I kind of feel that too, and I don't feel, given the level of assistance that clearly Trump campaign, that he's going to kind of leave him orphaned. And I even think that he'll probably end up being offered American citizenship. What do you think about that?
I know that people's impression and opinion of Julian Assange does change. I remember when he first came on the scene, he had done Palin really blasted him, and then later on, after years went by and some of the revelations came out proving that he was right, and what was going on with that, I can't think of the name of the program. It was what Edward Snowden had been working on. What was it?
Yes.
Kaleidoscope or something. An online apology to Julian Assange. So, it's the same thing. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So, depending on which side decides, that dictates whether he is a truth fighter or a traitor. So.
Hello? We lost Thomas again. I'm gonna get Thomas on Messenger. Is that you, Thomas? Yeah, we're having some problem. We're having some harassment tonight. Is that you, Thomas? No. Okay, let's block this person. So we got. Sorry about that, Thomas. We have someone that thinks they're clever that keeps calling the number to kind of intervene in the show, but we'll try and push on through. Sorry about that. Carry on with your thought if you can remember what it was.
Where did I leave you all at?
You were talking about Sarah Palin, and she apologized to Julian Assange.
Originally to Julian Assange was very, from the conservative side of politics, was very antagonistic. And then as the years went by and more revelations came forward with what was going on with the collusion with Verizon and the federal, a lot of people changed their tune. And she did write a letter apologizing to him. I haven't read every single thing that WikiLeaks has disclosed, and I don't think most people have. These dumps that are thousands, if not millions, of papers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of hard for us to make a decision without reading what we're for all the time right now. So I guess we're just going to have to wait. The president has a big staff. They can read the thousands and millions of papers that were released and go from there. That's why I said the president, because I'm not going to sit there and read a million pages that were released by Julian Assange. Most people don't.
For sure.
I do remember all the dumps during the campaign that kept coming out, but we were those snippets represent tens of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands, and like I said, perhaps millions worth of pieces of paper, and someone has to go through those. So it's going to take time. I know we live in this microwave internet culture where everyone would press enter and get an answer. Well, unfortunately, kids, it doesn't work that way with this. This is serious. This has to do with national security and international stuff, so we aren't going to get an answer anytime soon. But the news will continue to talk about it anyways, relentlessly, slanted as always.
It absolutely will. And I want to move on from this to talk a little bit about the commentary of Representative Ilhan this week, which I found particularly distasteful, where she described 9/11 as a day where some... And in all honesty, you know, I kind of felt that this pissed on their graves a little bit. What are we going to do to get rid of Omar and her ilk? 15 years ago, they're flying their planes into our buildings and killing our people. But now what is actually happening is that we're giving them the keys to the city.
Yes, and I don't think we're going to have to do much. From what I understand, it's already happening organically. The Democrats in the States House of Representatives are not pleased with her behavior and her performance in her short term so far in the U.S. House, and she has mocked the good people of her district, and
right.
They're already, and this isn't just right now. Several months ago, they had enough of her nonsense, and they were already, seeking out and preparing to groom candidates to primary her, so she's probably not going to be around here very long. But you know what really shocks me about her is, you've seen her in the House with her turban on and her burqa. The Democrats are always the first people to scream separation of church and state, yet they don't hear. What if we had elected a Catholic priest from a district and sent him to the United States House of Representatives, and he showed up in the United States House chamber in his clerical collar? Would the Democrats have anything to say about that? Oh, know they would.
Of course they would.
So I don't know. I don't think she's going to be around there long, but she's kind of like, as the representative of jihad, she's kind of like this new kind of terrorist who doesn't really attack with weapons, but with blasphemy and with anti-American rhetoric, with anti-Semitic rhetoric, and with this marginalization of 9/11. That was the first time our country was attacked on our own soil, and for her to just kind of poo-poo it and blow it off as some things some people did. Well, for shame, Representative Omar.
Yeah.
And I don't know, her turban was probably on too tight that day or something.
Absolutely. And the fact she couldn't even condemn what was going on in Brunei, with the way that they were, the new thing that they said they were going to do to people for being gay. The concern is, for me, if you cannot condone these kinds of things and you're in public office, I think you need your public office taken away, because the basic in the United States as a senator or a representative is that you have some ideology of equality. Because if you are there with regards to Jews and gays, etc., as anti, what about the Jews and gays in your constituency?
Oh, I'm a big proponent of President Trump's global initiative to decriminalize homosexuality that he has put Ambassador Richard Grenell in charge. While the homosexuals in our country whine about Mike Pence and whine about Chick-fil-A, there are gay men being executed at this moment all over Africa and the Middle East. The gays here whine about Chick-fil-A and, this imaginary homophobia from Mike Pence. All of that is just non-existent, but they're whining about that. They're whining about Chick-fil-A, while gay men are being executed and thrown off buildings in Africa and in the Middle East, and our president has stood up and actually done something about it. We've never had a president to, rebuke what's going on with the homosexual execution in the Middle East and in Africa, our president is actually doing something about it. It's
For
a
sure.
global initiative to decriminalize Africa and in the Middle East. And with Ambassador Richard Grenell in charge, I am very confident that good things will come of this, because Ambassador Grenell is not one of those ambassadors that lays around the embassy all day getting called Your Excellency, and he's out there representing and being the voice of the United States of America in Journey. Perfect pick to head up this global initiative to decriminalize homosexuality, which is unprecedented and not being covered in the media at all. And shame on them. But it does drop and slip masks off the people who do not walk the walk. They talk the talk.
Absolutely.
For instance, the HR, they whine about homophobia all day long.
Yeah.
Well, and they have for years. They should be there at the ambassador's residency in Germany, signing up to be volunteers for on this global initiative to decriminalize homosexuality.
For sure.
For shame that they are not doing that.
And how much of a homophobe is Donald Trump if he's actually spearheading? Quick question, because we are nearly out of time. What is your response to the Trump administration's changes with the military? Give me a very quick synopsis of how you feel about it. Is it fair? Is it unfair? Is it warranted? Tell me what you think.
Well, number one, how many people are we talking about? We're talking about a very, very, very small group of people. I really highly doubt that there's that many transsexuals wanting to go to war in Iraq. Okay, so let's say they're there, they're in Syria. How are we going to get their hormones to them? Are we going to drone them in?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that takes away resources.
Exactly.
You know, it's not practical. It doesn't make sense. And up until about 7 years ago, it was classified as aphilia in and then DSM-5 reclassified it as dysphoria, and they're not treating or even recognizing the comorbid diagnosis that comes with gender dysphoria. We can't have soldiers who suffer from dissociation. We just can't. You know,
Absolutely.
That is a mental issue, and it needs to be treated with antipsychotic drugs. And it's not being treated because the DSM to lick the boot of the commercially driven LGBTQ.
Yeah, for sure. One final question about whether it's a blanket response or on a case-by-case basis, because I'm sure that there are at least some people that are trans and serving in the military that are fairly well balanced, or would you disagree with that?
What's going to happen is, because the transsexual surgery is so expensive, that we're going to have some transsexuals signing up for the military whose heart is, they want the free surgery. And that's what will happen.
Absolutely.
You know, people can laugh and say, oh, that's not going to happen. But you know what? I talked about, you and I, marriage years ago, and now look at what's happened. The sex club that was on the front page of the Drudge Report today in New York City, you know, it is a den of iniquity. All these slippery slope. There was a man who married a pineapple, you know, several months ago.
Was that SpongeBob? Was that SpongeBob SquarePants?
You have to recognize our polyamorous marriage, because the gays.
Dr. Gina predicted that. We really got to stop there. I could talk forever, but tell people where they can find you, Thomas, and find out more of what you're doing.
That's easy. Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Thomas S. Schmitz, at ThomasSschmitz.
Absolutely, and all of Thomas's contact information is on the X. I'm so sorry about the care freaks that are trying to sabotage our interview, Thomas, but we got through. God prevails. God always prevails. God bless you. Give our love to Jim, and I will speak to you very soon, my brother.
Oh, thank you. Jim's right here. I will tell him that. Good night,
Absolutely.
Alexander,
Thanks.
And good night, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Thomas. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was the fabulous Thomas S. Schmitz. Make sure you go and check him out. If you're not following him, please make sure to do so. I don't know what's going on tonight with Skype. We've had some harassment. I guess it's from CARE because we identify how to stop this going on Skype. Don't go away. Stick around. I'll be on the real side with Joe Messina on the other side, 6 Pacific time. Have a fabulous weekend. Thanks to everybody who's made today's show possible. Thanks to Dr. Kendra Becker, Thomas S. Schmitz for being my guest. My other guest, apologies for the harassment from CARE. We will find out who they are, and I will be reporting this to the authorities. I love you all. We will deal with this. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
It has been good to me this time around. Things were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweet.